So, this is something I think is very important to keep in mind as we begin the 2020 campaign season and all these different Democrats jump into the presidential primary race. Here's the question. When Democrats tell us they want sensible gun legislation, what laws are they talking about? We have to ask this question, and here is why. Last Thursday, a deranged employee at the Henry Pratt Company in Aurora, Illinois, opened fire and killed 5 of his coworkers after he was informed by his supervisors that he was being let go from his job. The shooter was eventually killed by police, but the response politically to this shooting from the left, predictably, was more calls for gun control. In this case, it was Democratic Senator and presidential contender Amy Klobuchar who called for so-called sensible gun legislation to prevent mass shootings like the one that happened in Aurora. Watch.
Time to do something about, by the way, after the tragedy and what we saw happen in Aurora, Illinois yesterday, it is time to put sensible gun legislation in place in this capital.
Hear that word? Sensible. That's the word, or common sense, they sometimes say. That should make us all ask the question, what laws are these liberals talking about? And would the laws have made a difference? In the case of the Aurora shooting, the answer to that is a big, fat no. Here's why. Liberals want to ban AR-15s and other so-called assault weapons. The shooter in Aurora did not use an AR-15, he used a handgun. So that law wouldn't have made a difference. Liberals want universal background checks on gun purchases. Well, Illinois already has universal background checks. The shooter got one. He lied on it, and he passed it, and he was allowed to purchase a firearm. So that law wouldn't have made a difference. Liberals want waiting periods after you buy a gun before you're allowed to pick it up. Illinois has a waiting period. The shooter waited 72 hours after applying. They didn't catch him. It didn't stop him. That law wouldn't have made a difference. Liberals talk about making it illegal for criminals to possess firearms. It is illegal already for criminals to possess firearms. That law is already on the books. He was prohibited from possession of a firearm, and yet he did it anyway. That law didn't make a difference. This killer got his gun license anyway, in spite of the background check, in spite of the waiting period, in spite of being a felon. And then, when law enforcement finally realized he was a felon and prohibited from possessing a firearm, all they did was revoke the license. They didn't even try to confiscate his guns. And they sure as heck didn't arrest him for committing felonies by lying on his background check and possessing a firearm as a felon. So the original question, what gun control laws do liberals want? And would those laws make a difference? The answer to the second question is no. Amy Klobuchar and the rest of the left are hijacking the emotions of the tragic shooting, the mass shooting at Aurora, to take aim at our Second Amendment rights. They call it sensible, but when you break it down, Klobuchar and her cronies don't make any sense at all. The thing that failed to prevent the mass shooting at Aurora, just like in Parkland, just like in Sutherland Springs, were the government institutions the left wants us to trust to keep us safe, even though time and time again, these government institutions have failed us. And that is my final point.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.